The video games that we love wouldn't be the same if everyone got along. It's the conflict that drives the narrative and causes us to keep plugging away in order to find some sort of resolution. Simply put, there needs to be evil for the good to prevail over. Here's a list of the top 5 villains in video games that represent that very concept.
Number 5.
King Koopa is an icon of the industry, a classic as it were. Since the 1980s, Bowser has been completely obsessed with kidnapping the princess and trying to take over the Mushroom Kingdom. Were this list simply based on persistence and not success, he would find himself at the top. Additional points are granted for his willingness to take a break from his evil doings and take up a golf club, tennis racket, or even get behind the wheel of a go-kart in a multitude of side games. Also, while I hate to bring up the terrible live-action movie, it should be noted that the legendary Dennis Hopper played King Koopa. Not many other villains can say that.
That Koopa clown?
Yeah?
Is one evil, egg-sucking son of a snake.
Number 4.
Villains often have motivations for their actions that are based on perception. They actually believe that they're doing something right and are blinded by the means to their end. Kefka is not that disillusioned. He knows that he is out to destroy the world and admits that he's doing it just for the sake of watching people suffer. To this day, I can still imagine his signature laugh, which seemed to act as an evil punchline, used to emphasize one of his cowardly deeds. Kefka was not one to get his hands dirty. He would act from afar by sending in henchmen or poisoning water supplies. He displayed that his true power came from his demented mind.
Number 3.
While it might be considered cheating to include a character that has established himself outside of video games, once he showed up on the digital platform, he was there to stay. Appearing in dozens of games opposite the Caped Crusader, unlike Bowser, he has never once joined the good guys for a game of bocce ball. He has one singular purpose, and that is to cause as much mayhem as possible. Much like Kefka, the Joker's main weapon is his mind, but he's also shown that he has no problem getting his hands bloody. I cannot recommend enough the Arkham games that Mark Hamill lent his voice to the character for. They're great examples of just how much villainous personality someone can infuse into a character.
Nice of you to say, but you of all people should know there's plenty wrong with me.
Number 2.
Wesker displays the least personality of any character on this list, and he does so for good reason. He wants his foes to stay in the dark about his plans, and to ultimately let his actions do the talking. His first appearance is as your star's captain in the original game, who is disciplined and appropriately distant. As the series moves forward, you discover that he's a smart adversary, who values intel as well as brute force. When his efforts to replace humankind with genetically superior beings fails, he takes things into his own hands and experiments on himself, thereby creating, through his own actions, a physically dominant foe who strikes with the cunning of his intellectual prowess behind each swing.
Number 1.
Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is?
There's a lot that can be said about a villain who is so crazy and yet so charismatic that while you hate everything he does, you don't want to put a stop to him because you don't want it to end. That's exactly how I felt about Voss when playing Far Cry 3. Yes, he is a pirate and a murderer, but every time he appears on camera, I was eager to hear what he had to say. He's only in one game, but in my mind, he defies the entire franchise. Ubisoft must have known this since they tried to recreate the success with Peg and Min in Far Cry 4, to mixed results. Just listen to Voss's speech about the definition of insanity, and you'll see why he is the most memorable villain in video games.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Hey, did you like that video? If you did, be sure to let us know by clicking the like button and leaving a comment. If you want to be first in line for any new content, be sure to subscribe to our channel and then hit up our Facebook page. The link's in the description below to see what's coming up next.